Hey, what's up, everyone? You are listening to the My Comic Book Journey podcast, episode 33. And today's topic will be one of the titles that I enjoyed, as a person who is a big supporter of cultural or ethnic-based comic books. Static was awesome, and we'll talk about more about Milestone in this podcast episode. So, Static Volume 1, Issue 1 was released back in June 1993. The company was Milestone Media, DC Comics. Writer Dwayne McDuffie, Robert L. Washington III. Penciler was John Paul Leon. Inker was Steve Mitchell. Colorist Noelle C. Giddings. And the letterer is Steve Haynie. So, what is Milestone all about? Well, back in 1993, the comics world would see a major milestone taking place in the industry. A comic book imprint founded by African-American artists and writers under a major comic book company, DC Comics. Created for the fact that minorities were being underrepresented, Milestone Comics had the potential to be something huge. While the comic books would be published by DC Comics, they were not under the DC Comics editorial control, but only that DC retained the rights not publish any material they objected to. And that year, Milestone Media would release several titles, which would include Hardware, Icon, Blood Syndicate, and Static. The setting for many of these heroes and villains were the fictional Midwestern city of Dakota. While Milestone Media would last 5 years, a few of the characters would live on in today's DC universe, especially the character Static, who currently is a member of the Teen Titans, but a character that gained popularity after its comic book ended and would go on to have 4 seasons, animated TV seasons, that is, and it was titled as Static Shock from 2000 to 2004. The series would bring McDuffie's work to nationwide prominence throughout his work as a writer and producer on various animated series, including DC's animated universe, by the inclusion of black and female characters. While Dwayne McDuffie is no longer with us, he is no doubt a pioneer for co-founding a minority-owned and operated comic book company with Milestone. So, rest in peace, Dwayne McDuffie, because he's such a phenomenal writer. Sad, he passed away years ago, but sad that he's no longer around, because I'm sure he could have still delivered so much content. But for the most part, again, he was just a pioneer for co-founding a minority-owned and operated comic book company, and also, for his work on taking on minority issues and his inclusion of African-American superheroes and female heroes in his work after Milestone Media stopped publishing. By the way, I just want to show you this artwork, man. Look at this right here. You can see a little bit of it, man, but it's so cool. Really nice. But anyway, going back to this issue, the first issue of Static, one can see how the character was inspired by Spider-Man. Virgil Ovid Hawkins is an intelligent teacher, but one granted with amazing power, but yet not knowing what he's fully capable of. But also a teen that loves to have fun and joke around. The issue begins with a girl named Frida Gorin going to meet a friend at Akkad's. But greeting her are a gang of thugs who try to take advantage of her until Static shows up and easily beats them. But as quickly as he beats them, the quicker he needs to get home, because his mother is coming home and arriving. And for Virgil, he's a good kid, and his mother's so strict because she wants him to focus on his education and not be caught up in that dangerous lifestyle. So later that night, it is revealed that Frida is a high school friend of Virgil, and also a girl that he really likes, and he wants to take his relationship and friendship with her to the next level. But as Virgil, Frida, and others are getting ready for class, the thugs that Static defeated come to their school to visit Frida, and when the teacher tries to stop them, she is hit by them and the gang shows them that they are armed and they are going to kill anyone who tries to stop them from getting Frida. As Virgil is able to sneak out of his class to become Static, wanting to save Frida, he is unaware that the gang has their own member who also has special abilities, and he may be a bit too overpowering for Static. Overall, the first issue was entertaining. When the comic book first came out, Milestone really went all out by releasing the first issues sealed in the polybag with a backing board and collectible card and posters. But what I was so proud about this issue is how it chooses to showcase Virgil. As mentioned, inspired by Spider-Man, Virgil is intelligent but yet also a teenager who is bound to make mistakes. He comes from a family that takes care of him, and a mother that has him focus on his education. If anything, the writers crafted a character that wants to do something with his life and also show that care that he has for his parents and his parents to him. That's something you really don't see, and I think it's really cool that there was some focus on that for this comic book. But if I had any regrets about the series, was I wish I was in the position to purchase all the Milestone titles back then. Because think about it, it came during Marvel was big with all the titles, including Uncanny X-Men. DC was so popular with Death of Superman and or breaking of Batman's back. And then also you had the independents with Image and Valiant, to name a few. There's just so many cool comic books that were coming out during the early 90s. But Milestone Media, again, to create such a iconic character for Milestone, it's just interesting that you look back at it and it's like, wow, this comic book was ahead of its time. But unfortunately, it only lasted for 5 years, and I just want to say that I have deep respect for Dwayne McDuffie and Robert L. Washington III and the crew who were able to accomplish Static back then, and to see how that character has continued on today. But Milestone should be remembered for being progressive, and you gotta really look at the whole picture and just say, wow, pretty awesome. Okay, that was Static, issue number 1 from Milestone. You all take care, and I will see you later. Wink, wink, and take care, everyone. Bye-bye.